I went to a track meet, and it was kindergarten, first grade, and second grade. And one of the parents of a first grader was like, do you see that group over there? You gotta watch out for them. And I was like, what do you mean? And it wasn't a school, it was like a group, it was like a track club of kindergarten through 2. And the mom was like, yeah, they cheat.
It's so early, Felicia. It's too early.
I don't have that kind of energy.
Do you see me? I bounced a little bit.
Yeah.
You're the only one who got to spend last night, like, not worrying about children. You slept like 11 hours.
I did. I slept 11 hours with the aid of a pharmaceutical, and it was fantastic.
It was Pepto-Bismol.
Just a lot of
Well,
Pepto.
that doesn't count. You drink Pepto-Bismol every night, right? Everybody? No?
If you ever see really black poop, it's me. I was there.
What? Does that happen?
Pepto-Bismol turns your poop black.
I have an iron constitution.
All
I
right.
don't
You've
know.
never had Pepto-Bismol and have
No,
a
I
super
have, but
black
only for
poop?
fun. I just love the flavor.
The weirdest possible energy to start the panel with.
10 a.m.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the morning shift.
Why are there so many seats in here? My God.
I know. I would say a humbling amount. Hey, awesome con. And maybe this is just the convention center. Who do they think is sitting over there during the show? How popular does someone have to be that someone's like, I'm fine being down there?
No, but...
Okay, hi.
Hi.
Hey,
Welcome,
what's
everybody.
up, everybody? Morning. Woo-woo.
You're on with the Zoo Crew, the morning drive show. Hi, everybody. I'm just gonna
You gotta stop saying hi, everybody, man.
I'm Travis McElroy. This is Griffin McElroy. This is Felicia Day. We are all adults. I don't want to brag.
Really, though? Emotionally?
I mean, legally.
Legally.
Chronologically.
Legally speaking, we're adults. We've all spawned children.
Spawned. Bred.
Yeah.
We bred. We're breeders. Not the band.
Is there a band called The Breeders?
Yeah, Cannonball.
It's actually
What the-
pronounced...
What are you talking about?
I
The
don't
Breeders
know.
was an amazing band in the 90s.
Okay.
Right,
actually,
guys?
This is embarrassing. It was pronounced... It's the Beatles, and they were mostly active in the 60s. And
So I put this kind of panel thing together a while ago because after I had kids, I started thinking about that there's a very specific way that I, as a parent, am like raising, let's be honest, a nerd. But also as creators, we also have found that a lot of our stuff, especially Adventure Zone, found a younger audience. And especially now that it's been going for so long, I think that there are parents who are sharing it with their kids. And when I do conventions and stuff like this, I found that a lot of the people who would come up to me were a lot younger than I expected. And so I was thinking about the responsibility of like both influencing my own child and influencing the next generation. So I wanted to put a panel together to talk about like the responsibilities of that. So I want to go down the line, all three of us, and talk about like the thing. What is the thing that you remember being like your onboarding into like nerd culture, sci-fi, fantasy? What was the thing that you remember being like, oh, this got me, and then I just kind of followed that pathway for a while?
I mean, I think for me, it's just seeing what your parents do. Like, my parents always read sci-fi novels that were that big. Like, that's what my parents did, right? They were not necessarily like comic people or TV people. I mean, I had a Star Wars, bedspread that was so scratchy, but I loved it so much. It was like fiberglass underneath.
Yeah.
Anybody have one of those? Like 100% flammable.
So uncomfortable.
So uncomfortable, but I loved it so much that it would just...
Made a terrible noise.
Oh,
That's what I
yeah.
remember.
we dug up an old sheet of my wife's that is Alf themed, and we're like, oh, that's hysterical. And then I touched it, and I was like, you sleep on that? It feels like Alf. It feels like how I imagine Alf feeling if you touched Alf.
I just want to advocate for higher thread counts for kids.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
You know what I'm saying? Don't give them the horrible polyester lowest quality. It's not like it's not like they're pants. They're not going to outgrow a sheet. Okay.
Oh, is this Egyptian cotton and Care Bears?
We are
It is?
in DC. We could found this nonprofit by the end of the day, Felicia.
Yeah, we could. Higher thread counts for kids.
Actually, it's Saturday. There's no way we could do
No, we
anything.
can't
Also,
do
there
it.
might be bigger things we could focus on.
Sure.
So
Maybe
I think,
more pressing issues.
Yeah, but I think at the end of the day, you see what your parents do for enjoyment, and then you kind of want to emulate, or you want to kind of be part of that. And I think that's what my mom used to play Infocom games on a very, very large laptop, and it was all text. But like seeing her do that for fun made me want to do it for fun, and then that kind of just established a pattern. So when I do stuff with my own kid, I want to, it's more like emulating. Mm-hmm. They emulate and they admire, and what's in their home, they're going to probably do for the rest of their lives. So that's kind of what I do around my house.
It's interesting for me, because I was the youngest of three, that like I don't remember having an awakening where I saw, anime through a shop window and was like, Papa, what is this? What is this wonderful cartoon?
The tentacles, Papa.
For me, it was like, you and Justin were so far gone at that point that I really didn't have much of a choice. Like, I came into the house this same year, I believe, that the Nintendo Entertainment System also came into the house. And I'm pretty sure that my brothers felt about the same for both of us.
Hey, that's not true. We couldn't play games on you.
That's fair.
You weren't interesting for at least a year and a half. We could play Mario right away.
Yeah. For me, it was sort of video games were definitely the biggest facet of that growing up, and still today, honestly. And some of that was you and Justin, but also our dad played lots of video games. And I remember seeing that and thinking like, okay, this is actually a hobby. Like, this is actually a thing that you can get into and do, because he's an adult and he's still doing it. And so that was really, I think, one of the biggest sort of selling points for me as video games is like my main
Do you play with your kid? Do you play video games with your kid?
Yeah, I play.
He's like 9, right? 9?
He is 6 and a half.
6 and a half. That's
Which
the
is
same.
like 9.
That's the same. Yeah, pretty much 9. That's the same age as my kid.
That's wild. We did plan that, everybody.
Yeah, all three of us, I think, have 6-year-olds.
Yeah.
And we're like, this is
Yeah.
perfect. Now we can be friends.
Yeah,
I
we're
didn't
all-
hang out with Griffin until we had kids at the same time.
Yeah.
Is that
it's
true?
No,
God,
Felicia,
no,
he's my
Felicia.
brother.
I mean, come on. Just because you're related to somebody doesn't mean
That's
you hang
fair.
out with them. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
fair.
Yeah, it's only, I would say, in the last like couple years that he has like been able to really like handle a control. Like, there's a certain level of fine motor skills required to like use a controller and stuff like that. And so over the last couple of years, it's been a pretty big like thing that we do together.
See, my daughter won't pick up the She plays a little bit of Mario Kart, but she doesn't like. She won't pick up the controller because she wants to be good at it.
Yeah.
But early on, I was like, we're gonna play video games. So every night we play like half hour, 45 minutes, but it's mostly her eating fruit and vegetables and me playing Mario. So she
Great.
watches me. So I'm like a YouTuber for her.
Yeah. A bespoke YouTuber experience.
Yeah, exactly. But she'll be like munching on a mini carrot. Ground pound, mama, ground pound.
I love that. You know, I will
need
say
to. I need to at least acknowledge the incredibly dystopian moment we just had on stage, where we were talking about a live human interaction between yourself and a loved one, and you described it as a real life YouTuber. That's a bummer. They're copying us. It can't be the other way around. That's too sad.
Oh my God, you're right. This is a thing, like BB.
I hope you guys are enjoying this offline YouTube that you're watching in person.
BB enjoys video
This
games.
is a delicious YouTube I'm drinking.
BB started playing Kirby in the Forgotten Land, which she really enjoys.
Oh, where he can things he swallows.
Oh, God, yeah. She enjoys that immensely.
Yeah, it's great.
Wait, is that a problem? You were like, oh my God.
No, I was admiring it. The
Okay.
things he swallows.
Oh, my. In a different world. But she also is... iPad is a thing because it doesn't have control. She can drag her finger
Right.
around. She
Yeah.
always she's been doing. She likes like matching games and like thing of like dragging this thing around and put a puzzle together or whatever. She
Yeah.
enjoys that immensely.
My kid loves coloring.
Yeah.
The coloring books, I don't know why. She won't color in real life, but if it's on an iPad, she'll do it. And she gets that sort of like, should I be letting her do this? Like this look on her face, I'm like, I don't know if this is healthy or not, but I need to go do the laundry.
Now, it's very interesting to me because, so let me ask you this. Was there ever a time, because I think we all started into, it sounds like, kind of like nerdy kind of stuff early on. Do you ever remember a time where you're like, I'm going to pull away from this? Like, I don't want people to... Because this is a thing, when I was a kid, video games were not at all cool. And I remember distinctly when the Madden games came out, and suddenly people at school were like, yeah, I'm playing a video game, and it's got sports in it. And I was like, you're just talking about playing a video game? Just here, in public, in front of God and everyone?
It's like when you try to sneak vegetables into, like, mac and cheese by blending it up.
Yeah.
We'll get you playing games. We'll hide it in sports.
Yeah.
You're basically playing sports, so don't even worry about it.
Yeah, don't even worry about it. It's basically, don't think about it. The controller is like your feet. You're kicking it and grabbing it. Don't worry about it. Was there ever a time where you're like, I'm going to pull back and not identify as this?
As a child? I was homeschooled. I literally never had anyone at my house. I never went to a sleepover or a birthday party. Yeah, it's sad, guys.
She's doing okay now. It's fine. Are you
fine.
okay?
But like, I don't think I could actually you can't underestimate the isolation of that. I did not have anything. So nobody ever judged me ever because it was just me and my brother.
Dang, that sounds good.
Wait, your brother didn't judge you? What's that like?
We weren't really that friendly, to be honest with you,
yeah?
as kids. No, we didn't have a lot in common. Considering we were locked in the same house together.
Did you ever do like theater or performance or anything like that?
I did like community college, community theater.
Yeah.
So I would be like seventh orphan. So that was the only time I ever hung out with anybody with theater. And that's probably why I went into the profession I did. But no, so I never really, not until I got into Hollywood and I was like, oh yeah, I play video games or I have a math degree. And people looked at me like I was strange. I was like, why? Because before that, people would, in a college environment, people actually admire education.
Yeah.
Or being a little different, but not in Hollywood. They don't. They're like, what?
Yeah, Hollywood sounds terrible.
It's bad. It's bad. So yeah, for me, it's not. And so for my kid, I'm always like, my job is to introduce her to everything. I don't want to like indoctrinate her, except I never want her to play soccer because I don't want to go outside to watch her play soccer.
Yeah, man.
So there's and she's not a group sports person, which I thank the Lords, thank you. I never, ever want to have to go through that.
Okay, but listen, here's what you're missing out on. So BB just did track with kindergarten, right? Kindergarten track. And I went to my
So fun. Speaking of motor skills, they're not there yet for a javelin throw.
But here's the best part. I went to a track meet, and it was kindergarten, first grade, and second grade. And one of the parents of a first grader was like, do you see that group over there? You got to watch out for them. And I was like, what do you mean? And it wasn't a school. It was like a group. It was like a track club of kindergarten through 2. And the mom was like, yeah, they cheat. And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, they have like the second graders running the kindergarten races. Got to keep an eye on them. And I was like, wait a minute, this rules. I'm in this, yeah.
Those kids are juicing.
Yeah. I was like,
we're all juicing, man. We all got juice when we got here.
I was so into it. I was like, okay, who else is cheating? Point it out. I want to cheat now. This is great. I know.
Wow.
Yeah.
No.
I had no idea sports were so interesting.
This is an interaction I'm glad you had, and I can hear about it and not have to live with it.
Would you not do well with that? They'd be like, they're cheating, and you'd be like, I guess we quit.
No, I just go,
Is that just because like another human being is talking to you?
Yeah, that's the noise I make when I don't know what response they need, because it can be happy, sad, nervous. Anyway, what were we talking about?
So here's my next question. Is there a thing, because you're talking about like sharing stuff with your kid, right, but not wanting to indoctrinate. Is there a thing where you're like, I love this, it's very formative to me, I want my kid to be in it, but like I have to be so careful how I introduce it because I don't want it to be like just dumping it on top of them or forcing them to watch this movie or read this book or whatever?
I mean, for me, I like playing board games with my kid. I got her little baby board games, Haba, great ones, like shopping game. And so from a young age, we would play board games together. And now she goes up to my shelf, is like, Mama, let's play this. I'm like, it's 7 Tribes. I don't know, man. Yeah. But honestly, we play it, and she can follow all the rules.
Oh, yeah? Wow, that's amazing.
The one thing she likes to do is cheat. She's like, Mama, what do you have? And then she'll like calculate what she needs. And she'd be like, Mama, can you give this to me? I need this for my set. I'm like, wow. A cheater.
That's amazing.
Yeah, she's really good. So like for me, I want to introduce the board games as entertainment, but I don't want to indoctrinate her with like, love Spider-Man. Because personally, I mean, I'm nerdy, but I believe that the corporate overlords are just trying to brainwash us early to make us like love Mickey. So we'll spend all of our money on Mickey, you know?
But Mickey is great.
But Mickey's great, and he's our friend, Felicia.
Sucks.
Mickey is our friend, and he is an icon, Felicia.
You more of a Donald Duck person? Or?
That's what it is. You're a Donald Duck fan, aren't you?
I rip his little olive nose off, and I'll say, stop it.
I love Donald Duck for this reason. Donald Duck's the only one of the Mickey and friends who can be like, what are you talking about?
Stop it.
That Goofy? That's not a good idea. Don't do that. And Mickey's like, yeah, Goof, let's do it. And Donald's like, no, don't do it. What are you talking about?
Have you played Dreamlight Valley?
Yeah, it is that. It's just...
Whenever Donald goes off, Calliope's like, he's got some anger issues he needs to work on.
Yeah, he does.
Always, because he's always doing a tantrum. I'm like, wow, he needs some anger management.
The one indoctrination thing I did too is, so if you look at the Wikipedia for Goofy, he's had a lot of names over the years, and one of them is George Geef.
Yeah.
So when BB was like 2, I just started referring to him as George Geef.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh look, honey, he's George Geef. And
when you call a mascot at the park who is dressed as Goofy, George Geef, they give you like a secret, little like secret society like nod, like, yeah, man, I know.
Yeah, you're in.
Oh, you know some Goofy trivia? Okay,
George
You
Geef.
think I don't know that, man? I am Goofy.
I am George Geef. George Goofy Geef, they call me.
I definitely showed Henry Star Wars way too early, and not too early from like you watch people get killed with laser swords too early, but like he can't hang with a story that's this big. And that has put us in a weird sort of liminal space with that franchise, which frankly is not I'm okay with. But he has hit a critical mass where now he is just really hungry for all that stuff. For like that, like the new Zelda game came out, and he's like kind of watched me play Zelda, and so he was like, I want to do this, I want to play this game, and we played it, and that game is like real complicated. And it ended up being a bit above his pay grade, but like I'm really impressed with how timid he used to be about this kind of stuff. Now he is just constantly seeking it out and constantly wanting to do like the bigger thing.
Video games.
Yeah.
Because I tried to play Zelda, and then we were killing a boar, and she kind of looked like I was actually killing a real boar. So I was like, oh, this is too real. But she really got into these. Lately, she's really into these puzzle games that are so obviously made in Eastern Europe, because most of the misspellings are there, and like it's obviously all. Like, Nicola, don't run over there. Like, that's the voiceover. Yeah. But it's like search puzzle games, you know? And she loves them. And I've spent a lot of money on Eventide 1, 2, 3, 4, and, like all of them. I looked up this company. I am supporting this whole company. $15 a game. I'm like, all right, we'll do another one of these. That's another, look, let's find all the hidden objects.
One of my favorite things, so BB has found this channel that just does like logic puzzles and mysteries, and it's like animated, and it will be like, Debbie came home and found that her necklace had been stolen, and they interviewed her 3 neighbors, and they said this, which one of them's lying? She'll watch those videos, and then...
Which one was it, Trav?
It was Susan. And then she'll watch them again, sitting next to you, and go, I think it's Susan. And then I'll be like, it was Susan. And she'll be like, see? I knew it. And I'm like, but I just watched you watch this video. And she's like, no, I figured it out. And I am so proud of that. There's something about that I love so much.
I have a question, because it's a topic that has been coming up a lot in our house lately. And you briefly mentioned it when talking about playing board games with your daughter. But for me, it's embarrassing how much I still have to remind myself, like when I'm playing a game with him, that like this experience is not about me and my enjoyment of the game necessarily, or my domination of the game necessarily.
Or getting the rules right.
Or getting the rules right is a big one. Like Henry really wants to be into chess, and so we'll play some chess, and then he'll be like, I'm gonna take this next move, actually. I'm gonna do 2 in a row. You know, you can do 2 in a row in chess sometimes. Which is only really funny because once my father-in-law came in town and Henry was like, hey, Gaga, you want to play chess? And he was like, sure. And that game lasted 3 hours.
Wow.
Because Gaga wouldn't let him not Gaga wouldn't let him not follow the rules, but Gaga wouldn't finish him. He kept hoping that it got down to just 2 kings on the board. I was like, I've never seen this before.
And then those 2 kings fell in love.
Yeah,
and it was a tie. No? That's how chess normally ends when I play it.
Okay.
Yeah?
Cool.
No, I have to do that because we'll play like a bluey board game. And BB will just be like, I think I'd rather be on green. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. But there is a moment where it's like everything, and I'm like, no, you rolled orange.
But do you feel this guilt for not being kind of a hard ass about it sometimes? I never am, because it feels bad. It stops being a fun thing.
No. If you're sitting there grinding your child in the dirt, you're creating trauma that needs to have therapy later.
I'm not saying
destroying.
You're just embarrassed.
Or like, well, here's another example. Like, she really doesn't like to lose. Yeah. And occasionally I'll win because I'm like, well, that's how it goes. And she'll literally went like this. And she'll go and hide under the bed. And I'm like, and I want to be like, but I want her to be a good, ultimately I want her to be a good sport, right?
Right.
But I don't think the lesson is right then.
No.
It's just being, it doesn't feel good to lose, does it? It kind of feels bad. It's much more fun to win. It's hard to deal with those feelings. Yeah. Versus like, nobody likes a bad loser. You lost. It's okay. You lose in life. And I'm like, I've seen people do that, especially dads. I'm sorry to put it out there, but dad, I think guys have a legacy of trying to be a little bit harder on their kids, right? Especially their sons. And like, that just kind of hands down. But for me, like, kids have a problem with their emotions. They're way bigger than they can deal with. And whenever you can be in it with them and be like, wow, that really doesn't feel good, or that's kind of hard to deal with, like, you're their ally, right? And they can kind of find their way out because they don't feel so alone or ashamed of their feelings. And so it's hard because when she's a little brat, it's hard.
This is a thing, like, I think it goes back to the question of like, am I doing a disservice not teaching them like the rules and like you can't just change what's happening because you don't like it, and that feeling of, because there are times where I'm like, my job as a parent is to make sure like she's strong enough to go into the world, and when people tell her like that she's not too sensitive and all this stuff, I'm like, that's bullshit, because it's like that's a perpetuating cycle of like, but if you taught her not to be tough, like that it was okay to feel bad. When BB feels an emotion, like if she gets disappointed, she'll full blown like go sit at the window and stare out the window and like full blown like just feel her little Victorian child feelings as she like, and it's everything in me. I want to be like, hey bud, just come back. Please don't. Whatever you're doing now is too much. But it's like, nope, that's fine. I'm just going to let her have her one-woman show over there. And then when she's ready to talk about it, we can talk about it. But the times where I watch her, just like yesterday, I literally caught her like breathing on the window to make fog and then make a frowny face.
Whatever could that mean?
I have no... But she's fine. Yeah. And all of it she's doing with a little smile. Yeah. Because she loves being upset.
We all do. We all do.
But that's the thing, like we talked about that when she was doing track. It's like basically they run, like the kid, it's like 6 kids run, and then all 6 of them get a ribbon. It's like your first, second, third, fourth, sixth. And then the next 6 go, and they all 6 get a ribbon. And BB, I was so proud of her because she got a ribbon, and she was like, well, it's 5th. But it is green, and I like that. And I was like, nice,
that's
man.
Great.
Awesome.
That's
and then
good.
she got first in long jump, and it blew my mind. I was like, wait, are you good at this? And she was. And I was like, okay. And it was so tempting to be like, cool, you got 5th, but you also got first.
I have had to really deprogram like a lot of the way I feel about like video games in sharing them with Henry. Because like there are times we were playing Pokemon this morning. We were playing the new one because you can do like multiplayer and just run around each other's world. And he was like, "Let's do a trade." And I was like, "Uh-oh." In my head, I was like, "This isn't gonna go good." And then he pulled up my list of Pokemon. He's like, "Ooh, what is that? Charcadet? Oh yeah, I'm gonna take that. I'll have that one, please." Like it was a menu at McDonald's, and I had to be like, "Well, that's." My highest level Pokemon, but sure, yeah. I think that you're gonna have a lot of fun with him too, buddy. Here you what? Oh, a Pidgey. Great. I really have to, like, we have battles. When we battle each other, he's so much further in the game than me because we played his version together first. And he'll just annihilate me every time and be like, that's too bad. Rematch? Let's rematch, and this time I'll start a different Pokemon. And I'm like, okay, buddy. And
You're a way better dad than me. I wouldn't let this happen.
See, that is the rub. I've had to just enter this Zen-like state where the usual, like, metrics by which I judged my enjoyment of a video game have changed permanently. And it carries over to, like, when I'm not playing games with Henry, too.
But that's good, though, right?
It's good. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying deprogramming in a very good way, because it's taught me to enjoy games at a different, like, on a different level that is a lot healthier, and I actually
I have the same thing with body image, you know? Like, I would always look in the mirror and be like, oh, you look terrible today, or, oh, look, you gained 5 pounds, or whatever, like trying on a bathing suit, and
your
I'm like,
horns are showing, lots of stuff.
All that stuff, and I'm
Maybe
just
that's
like,
just me.
For me, I'm like, okay, you can't ever say that around her, because that's going to teach her that that's, you're not good enough, right? The way that you are, and accepting yourself. And it makes me think about myself in a more healthy way, too. Just like, let's accept, because I want that for her. Why don't I have that for me, right? I think it's a kind of a realization that when you're thinking about someone else outside of yourself and for their benefit, like truly, then you can kind of look about and see how you're treating yourself and be like, hey, I'm not a good parent to me either.
That for me, the emotional aspect of, like, trying to instill in her, like, if you get upset, if you are frustrated, if you are angry, that is okay, right? This thing you're feeling is frustrating, so it makes complete sense that you're frustrating. Or, like, this thing, I don't get why you're upset about it, but you are upset about it, and that makes sense, and that's okay. And then it's like, okay, cool, but what if you felt that same way about yourself? And I'm like, whoa! And that is like, it has been very eye-opening to me of, like, being like, yeah, you know what? It might not make sense to other people that I'm frustrated about this thing, but I am, and that's okay. Like, I don't have to, like, get over it. Yeah, and I don't have to get over it with the other people.
Yeah, and also being their ally. I'm here for you. Like, I'm not, you're not doing what I want you to do right now, but let's figure out a way not to get frustrated about it and be like, hey, this is why this has to happen, and I really understand how you're feeling right now, but this is why we do something. And when I handle it well, which, maybe 70% of the time.
Pretty good. Pretty good hit rate, man, I'll say.
I feel like pretty good, because sometimes it's hard. It's like, why do you not want to put the sock on? Why is it scratchy? It wasn't scratchy yesterday.
It's an Alf sock. Get it out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
I said Bombas.
Yeah, but the proudest thing is that, I think it's really hard to be a kid. It's really hard to be under, 5, especially, because they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what's going on. They have no idea what they're feeling. And just recently, she gets upset about something, and then, like, maybe 20 minutes later, she'll be like, I'm sorry, I really just was upset about this. And she said, I'm sorry. And I'm like, what? You said, I'm sorry for getting upset about something irrational? This is amazing. Yeah. But I'm like, I don't think if I had not done all the work early on to help lay the groundwork there, she wouldn't have come to me. She would, she would have either, like, just not considered me somebody that she could reason with, or she would have just been like, it's a lost cause, and been ashamed of how she was, which we shouldn't, that's bad.
Yeah.
So
this morning I was eating, and I dropped some food on my pants, and I said, oh no, I dropped food on my pants. And Bibi laughed, and I made a face, and she goes, Daddy, I want you to know, I laughed because of the way that you said pants, not because I thought it was funny that you dropped something on your pants.
That was a lie. Hey, your daughter lied to you.
She's a liar.
And I said, Bibi, did you say that because you saw the face that I made when you laughed? And she was like, yeah. And I was like,
that's really sweet.
You're incredible. And I told her, I was like, that is incredibly perceptive and kind, and thank you so much. And I don't say that to brag about my daughter. I say it to brag about me and what a good dad I am.
Yeah.
Hey, if Uncle Griffin was in that room, that would not have gone down like that, man.
It was incredible. But it was like that kind of thing of, like, man, I just had to, the other day, the tricky thing I think as a parent, is like, I can feel my feelings, but it also, like, she's a kid and I'm a grown up. So there's a certain level of, like, sometimes when I get frustrated, Bibi will come over and hug me. And I've had to start saying, like, hey, but I really appreciate that. But you don't have to make me feel better. Like, I am a grown-up who can process my own.
You're not responsible for my feelings, which is really tough.
I also just realized we spent the majority of this just talking about being parents.
Yeah, I was about to say, let's talk about Spider-Man or something. We're losing them, folks.
So I'm going to shift it now.
No, I'm just kidding.
I'm going to shift it now to talking about like as creators who are making things that like the next generation of people watch and consume and influence the way that they make things. I will say that like that for me doing Adventure Zone has definitely changed like how we started doing it, and like it's something I think about now when we're doing the graphic novels. Of kids are reading. My kids look at the graphic novels and I'm like, that influences choices that I make now, because the butts have to be very cartoony. And
we have friends with older kids who read the graphic novels, and we get like feedback from that very directly, which is it's bizarre but very, very sort of impactful. I don't know, it's new. I feel like this as a thing that we think about is new because I don't know, some of the stuff we make is not remotely age appropriate. It's PG-13 man, there's some rough stuff we make. And so
challenging ideas, I'd say. Adult
and language,
situations.
Yeah. So I have always, I have recently wanted to do something that would be more focused towards or more appropriate for a younger audience.
Like any performer of a certain age, you've reached a point where you want to make something your kids can enjoy.
I walk by a lot of
the Eddie Murphy swing, as I call it.
The toys, the like toy stores that I go to here have like book sections usually. And anytime I walk by the graphic novel section, I'm like, I wonder if Adventure Zone is here. And then I'm like, I hope it's not. That would be bad. This is not good for kids, I don't think.
I mean, yeah, I certainly, I've been making content for 15 years now, which is a whole adult almost. So when when someone comes up to me and says, I grew up with your stuff, I'm like, oh yeah, you did. Yeah. You did.
All right, time passes.
Yeah, time passes. And, my role as a person, like especially becoming a mom and becoming, somebody who's mature and gotten over some of her issues, I feel really strongly that a lot of the roles that I've played or created have really strongly impacted especially women and girls. And when I see girls come up and they're super confident in who they are and like they're into all this stuff, they never would have been when I first started out going to conventions and stuff. I never would have seen a 15-year-old girl with like rainbow hair dressed in anime, like it just didn't happen. And like seeing that breadth of especially women and girls into this makes me want to write especially allyship between older women and younger women, because there's not a lot of that out there. Usually it's the stepmother kind of situation where stepmoms are evil and women need to step aside for the younger girls to ascend, and it's like this kind of toxic narrative that perpetuates women against women. And I'm like, what can I do to, help change that with the stories that I tell? I have a huge project coming out that I've been working on for like 5 years. It's coming out in the fall. It'll be announced soon. And I'm like, it has a very...
What is it?
I can't say it. I'm not announcing on your panel.
She told me backstage. It's Dunstan Checks In 2.
Yeah,
The second Dunstan
Finally.
Checks In. This one's Dunstan
checks out.
Ah, damn it, you beat me to it.
Anyway, it has a strong like mentorship thing. I have another graphic novel I'm working on. It's like a lot of my projects have either younger girls or young women as a center, because I feel like I learned a lot. I was like, I wish I could have told myself something at 18 or 20 or 15, to just be more myself and have that, because especially seeing Charlie from Supernatural and how she's inspired a lot of women and girls, I'm just like, I want to do that more.
You guys know Supernatural?
Slightly familiar, yeah. So anyway, that's, it's important to me. And as I think obviously as somebody my age, I don't know if like a 10-year-old or 15 is gonna, I want to be her, like there is an age generation thing where it's like you become more of a mentor versus like an aspirational person where I was in the beginning. And it's like, well, what can I be that's of service to my own stories, but also feed into that generation a different way? And it actually is really fun to think about that, especially since I have a kid who I'm already trying to do that with anyway. Yeah. So I definitely think my stuff going forward will aim, in a new universal way, but also like try to include that younger generation, especially trying to inspire them to make stuff too, because that's how I got here, just making stuff in my garage.
It's really interesting because all Travis aside. Oh, yes.
Thank you, claps. I appreciate all of those.
They just love garages.
Yeah.
We love garages here in
Love
DC.
it.
I don't know why.
you can put a car inside, get out.
Yeah, it's wild.
Cars are usually outside. I find it very humbling. This is something, I don't know if you've ever felt this way, Griffin, but like when we were doing Balance and Adventure Zone, I wasn't, I don't think we were thinking about, there are people who will come up and tell us about something that they got out of it, like a very personal thing that like meant a lot to them. And I always think like, oh, okay, cool. Like, I don't know that was like... Even
I don't think that's fair. No, because I think like my brother and me, we got a lot of feedback from people about Adventure Zone, and to think that
I just mean, I wasn't setting out to, like, when
No,
we were
God,
making...
no.
I don't think we were like,
Certainly not
we'll
when we
make something
started.
that inspires something and means something to people.
No, that usually turns out to be schlock, right?
Yeah.
We, but it's definitely a consideration now. I think, I don't know. I feel bad for not having more kid-friendly stuff out there, mostly because my kids are curious. Well, my 2-year-old's not really curious about much of anything I do yet, but like my 6.5-year-old watches like YouTube and YouTubers, and to not be able to kind of show him all that stuff is like kind of a bummer. And that's largely a self-imposed thing, but like, okay, real talk, I don't want my children to put toys in their mouths. It's dangerous. If you don't know what you're doing, it's dangerous to
Griffin
put a toy
is a
in
trained
your mouth.
professional.
I
He went
did
to
it.
college to learn to put amiibos in his mouth.
I put amiibos in my mouth. I was paid to do this. I was OSHA compliant in the studio when I was putting toys in my mouth.
He had a spotter. You couldn't see that, but just behind the camera, there's somebody ready to give him the Heimlich.
Yeah. So I haven't shown my kids Griffin's Amiibo Corner. One time it came up on a thumbnail as we were swiping. And it was like a clip, it was like me putting Kirby in my mouth. And Henry was like, what was that? And I was like, I don't know. Weird. Doop, delete YouTube.
I don't want my child to see anything I've done. I got really mad. I had somebody babysitting her and they were watching Nailed It. And, Mama, you're on TV. And I'm like, what did you do?
What did you do?
What did you do? Because I don't
Meanwhile,
want her,
I'm like, look at what Daddy does.
Oh, yeah. I don't know why. I just don't want her to think that, especially being a performer or famous, is like something to aspire to. Like, it's all about the work. Mama's doing work now. I'm doing work. I got to go to work. Oh, I only curl my hair when I have to go to work. Oh, boy, I got to put some makeup on, but I'm only doing it for work. Mama has to do writing work. I really emphasize the actual work of it because I don't want her to think being famous is cool, because it's not.
But it is.
It's so great. Henry
we're at a level of being famous that is pretty cool. I don't want to be more famous than I am now.
No, for sure. My dream would be like to be a Romulan or a Klingon, because you get, like, Doug Jones has the best career of anyone, because he like does so much cool stuff, and yet, you walking down the street, not a lot of people's going to notice him.
Are we gonna do?
No, there's only 4 minutes left.
Okay, I was gonna say.
I was gonna do questions, and then we just talk too long.
Oh wait, we were gonna do questions.
That's fine.
It's all right. We did run out of time.
I think we've answered everything. But this is there is a certain amount of like. I think the one thing that I do try to think about to go back to like influencing a younger generation is like, if I can just talk enough about and show enough of like, don't try to pretend like I was never like a toxic dude shithead, and learn to go, because that is a thing where it's like, if I can influence younger generation dudes to not be so shitty when they're adults, then I'll be like, come out of this being like, this is great. I used to be like, I want to inspire people to create. Whatever I make, I want that to be the thing. And now it's like, I just want to inspire young men to not be pieces of shit.
Yeah. We've probably gotten a couple. The competition on the other side is quite fierce.
Heavy.
I know.
And
They're
people
really
keep giving those podcasters so much money.
I know
so
they
much
get,
money.
or Twitch streamers. I'm just
No
like,
one's giving us that money.
No way.
No one's being like, you guys are trying to do good things. Here's $2 million.
What?
At the end of the day, it's not going to be rewarded. Small thing. But just being present. There's nothing you could do. You're gonna just have to chip away at that, because it's the pervading attitude is gonna win, because it's the majority and it's the easy way to go, right? And anybody, it kind of depresses me, especially on Twitch. Like, I love Twitch streaming. I Twitch, a couple times a week at least. And, thank you. And I just love the community and everything. But then you're like naively in your own corner, and then you go to the public, the more popular. Like, who has 10,000 people watching it? Oh, no. Like, but at the end of the day, you got to show up and be faithful to yourself. And whatever, you influence one person, and you don't know how many people they'll influence. And, for me, I'm just like, I don't want to be a desperate person as I get older trying to reach the youngins, like that's sad, because when I remember being 15, I wasn't looking up to somebody who was 40, like, oh, I can't wait, like you're looking at other people who are maybe 20, like one step ahead of you, right?
Yeah.
You want to aspire, but you're not like, so being aware of like that age and generation gap and like, what can I say that's relevant to them? Well, I can only really be relevant to me, and hopefully it's universal enough that it will include people. And again, that's like creating stuff that's not your face necessarily, right?
I remember there was a younger dude who came up to me one day, and he was like, Mr. McElroy, you really inspire me. I used to be a huge, like, really just judgmental piece of shit, and you've inspired me. And I said, thanks, Brennan Lee Mulligan. That's really...
Travis, that's not a real story.
That's not true. But I'll let Brennan Lee Mulligan influence the youngins, and I'll influence Brennan Lee Mulligan, and it's fine.
Sure.
No, he's very sweet and nice in real life, not just on TV.
Yeah.
I don't even know who that is.
Brennan Lee Mulligan? Oh my God. Felicia. He's a pretty good DM. He learned everything from us. And you can tell him I said that.
Uh-oh.
No, he's amazing and way better than us combined.
Stop it. All
okay.
right.
Well, which one is it? Can I make fun of him or can I compliment him?
I don't like anything you're doing.
Okay, he's fine.
That's the worst.
Damn it!
He's meh.
Well, let's leave it on that note.
We're going to leave on Brennan Lee Mulligan? Really? This guy
we'll leave it
doesn't
on...
even really know that well?
Yeah, it's fine.
I don't want to end this panel on him. Talk about BB more or something.
Okay, BB's great. I will say this. One thing I wanted to talk about that's wild to me, and I made this realization.
So should be interesting.
BB and I, when I was her age, right, she and I share an interest, and it's vampires. But for me, it was out of pure fear, and I realized there is so much pro-vampire propaganda for children where it's like, Vampirina, Monster High, and like every vampire is like, I love humans, they're my best friends. And I'm like, what is this? We should be afraid of vampires.
I'm gonna have a human sleepover, and the human parents are like, yeah, man, go for it.
Have fun,
What's her
dude.
name? Vampirina? That's
Love
what her
it.
house looks like? Go
Love
for
it.
it. See you tomorrow, maybe.
And it's like, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, when I was 6, I was carrying around sharpened sticks just in case. And meanwhile, she's wearing fangs, being like, I want to be one of them. Ugh.
So I guess, Felicia,
Today.
do you feel bad for contributing directly to Travis's great vampire fears?
No, because my daughter, there's a book called Monstrous that's an adult book, but it's about the science of monsters, and I've read that freaking book 400 times. I can tell you exactly about hemoglobins and vampiric stuff, and I'm like, I don't want my kid to admire vampires either.
Yeah.
They're cheesy. They sparkle. Don't like Twilight as a child.
Someday,
when you wake
when
up.
BB's like 12,
Oh,
she's going to find
Twilight.
Twilight out in the world and come back and be like, do you know about this? I'm like, no!
This is probably what our parents thought when we all got into the Mummy.
Yeah.
When our parents were like, you got to be afraid of mummies. No!
What are you doing? Okay, before we wrap up, Felicia, where can you be found online and what you'd like to promote?
Do you really have to read that off a sheet of paper,
No.
you monster?
Everywhere at Felicia Day, except on TikTok, it's Felicia.day, okay? I don't know why. And I'll have a panel tomorrow, and I'll be here until like 3, so come see me if you want. And I'm on twitch.tv/Felicia Day, and I have a big project coming out. Please promise you'll pre-order it when it's announced, okay?
You're going to go ape.
Okay,
Over this
you will
one.
like it. I put years of my life
Check
into
it out.
Check it out.
Griffin and I are doing a photo op today at noon and at 12:30 to 2 doing a signing. And then tomorrow we have a photo op at 11:50 a.m. and then 12:15.
So specific.
Wow, this
Yeah.
is actually way more specific than me. Like
12:15 to
professional.
1:45 we're doing a signing. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Felicia
Thank you,
Day.
Felicia Day.
Thank
Thank you all for
you.
coming.
Thank you all for coming. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
What are we going to do tonight, Brain?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Watch Fandom Spotlite videos and then take over the world.
Hey, God, that's great! And maybe we should tell them all to have fun?
And follow their fandom. Then bow before my genius.